Okay, now we look what's the meaning of the spurious regression. Okay, in the last discussion, we have discussed how we want to test the time series with the unit root, with the unit root, and we using the augmented decoupler and also decoupler test. We're using the decoupler and augmented decoupler test to test whether our time series is stationary or not. So the issue now why we need, if we using the time series data or we using the model with the time series, so why we need the model or the variable must be stationary. Yeah. Okay, we must make sure that our time series in our data, in our model is stationary because we want to avoid what we call it as the spurious regression. If we using the data in our model and test data or test time series is non-stationary, so means that eh, maybe our regression will lead to the spurious regression. Okay, so what's the meaning of the spurious regression? Okay, in the cross-section context, we use phrase spurious correlation to describe where two variables are related through their correlation with the third variable. Right? So if you regress y on x, we find a significant relationship. But when we control for another variable, say z, the partial effect of x and y will become the zero. So this context also can be applied when we're using the time series. It time series, and it's possible to find a spurious relationship between the time series that have increasing or decreasing trend. Okay, to make we understand what's the meaning of the spurious regression. Okay, let's say we have the two time series, the series of the x and the series of the y, and this both series is generated by the random walks model, random model, something like that. Okay, this one we have the two time series, eh, the xt and also for the yt. And also we generate, in this case, let's say we generate these two time series with the random walk. And of course, we assume that for this case, the error term is uh, distribute identically, which the mean zero and the variance is constant. So means that, of course, we assume that this the error for this error and this error is normally distribute and normally distribute. So means that we assume that there is no autocorrelation. Well, in this case, there is no serial correlation for the error. No serial correlation for the error. Okay, and then we assume the initial value of the x o is and also yo is 0, and the series of the AT and AT are independent process. So instead, we assume that there is no correlation between this error, no correlation between this error. Okay, for this section, we want to generate, we want to generate randomly two series, xt and the yt. Okay, what after we generate, let's say we generate the xt and yt randomly. Let's say we run this regression yt to the xt. Eh? That's the equation 6.2.3. Eh? And we look the t statistic and also maybe another statistic and also the value of the coefficient we get from this regression. Okay, because yt and xt are independent, because we generate, in this case, we generate xt independent and yt also independent. Of course, we suspect that the t statistic for the value of the beta 1 must be equal to 0. Means that we assume that there is no significant. Eh? There is no way the xt significant effect on yt because we generate xt and yt independently. There is no correlation between the xt and yt. This is what we suspect. And we suspect that the xt and the yt must be not significant, no relationship between them. And because no relationship between them, of course, the beta 1 is not significant. Not significant, and of course, the value of R square must be very low for this regression. This is what we expected that. This is what we expected that. Okay, if you test the actual beta equal to 0 against the beta not equal to 0, actually it's not beta O, beta 1. We hope that the t statistic for the beta 1 is significant. Okay, this is actually referred to beta 1. Beta 1 is beta 1. Beta 1. Actually, we hope that the t statistic for the beta 1 is insignificant. Because why? Because, like I said before, we generate the yt and xt independently. There is no way relationship between the yt and the xt. Okay, but the study by the Granger and Newbold so that this case is not happen. This case is not happen even the yt and xt independent. They say that maybe when we regress these two independent variable, the b or the coefficient of the explanatory variable can be significant. Can be significant. If this happen, if this happen, we generate the yt and xt independently, and the xt is significant effect to the yt. That's what we call it as the spurious regression. Granger and Newbold call this phenomenon as the spurious regression. That's why we need to make sure that our time series is stationary. This is will lead to the spurious regression. If our data is non-stationary, means that maybe the result from our regression could be spurious. Okay, so now we look what happened, how the non-stationary variable can lead the spurious regression. Okay, to discuss about this phenomenon of the spurious regression, means that we using the non-stationary data. Let's say we generate 500 observation. This one we want to generate the data. We want to generate the data randomly to series, the X series and also the XT series. Okay, so this can be done easily by the data. We want to generate randomly. Okay, okay, saya show you the command. Okay, okay. Let's say we want. Okay, now we want to generate the. Okay, want to generate the data 500. In this case, you can generate any number, no any number, any volume of the number. Maybe you can generate 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, or and whatever. It's up to you. Okay, for this case, I want to generate 500 observation. Okay, now we put the set observation 500. Okay, now we have 500 observation. This one, 500. But we don't have the data yet. So the data we want to generate, this only still blank. Only we want to fill 500 observation. We want to fill 500 observation with the data, and the data we generate randomly. Data we generate randomly. Okay. Okay. So and then we generate the time. Generate the time. Okay. This is how we generate the Tn time. Okay. Generate T equal to underscore n. Okay. Now look again. This is the time variable. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we have the variable of the time. Given by the number lah. Okay. This is the variable of the time. We have to generate the variable of the time. Okay, and then we t set of the t lah. We t set up for the t. T set for the time variable. We have 1 to 500. Okay. Now we want to generate the residual. The first thing is we want to generate the residual because we want to generate randomly, based on the rest. And then we assume that when we generate this series randomly, we assume that the AT residual for the X and also residual for the Y is normally distributed. Normally distributed. So we want to generate first the data for the error. The data for the error randomly, but follow the normal distribution. Follow the normal distribution. Okay, so this is the we call it the command for the SATA. Generate EX. Okay, this you can give you any name. I put the EX error for the X, generate error for the Y, EY, and this is the command to generate the data normally distributed with the mean equal to 0 and variance equal to 1, constant to 1. Okay, so I generate these two error, and now we can get this error. This for the error lah, generate for the error, data for the error. Okay, now we want to generate the series of the x. Generate the series of the x. Okay, before we do the series of the x, because we assume that the first observation must be equal to 0, so we generate x equal to 0. Right? Okay, this one generate equal to 0. Okay, we have the x equal to 0. This one, x equal to 0, and then we replace one. We want to generate this variable. We want to generate based on this one, xt equal to xt minus 1. Xt equal to xt minus 1 plus the error. And then the error we had already generate. The error we had already generate. Okay, and then we look this one, replace. Now we want to replace the, we call it the XO. The not XO, all the x. We replace the x equal to 0.1. So in this case, we put the intercept. We intercept, the value of intercept is 0.1 plus x. Okay, x t, this one t. Look, this one t. Okay, I put this one. Okay, and okay, this one x is equal to this one. X equal to 0.1. 0.1 is equal to the alpha, for alpha, plus x t. This one is equal to the t. This one is equal to the t. T. So the xt lah. So beta 1 xt, and then minus 1. So minus 1. So minus 1. And plus the error. This the equation. Plus the error. And then of course we replace the x to start from the observation number 2, not from the 0, not from the 1. It's because the 1 we assume that the start from 0. The x number 1 is start from 0, so we replace the x start from the 2 until the 500. Okay, so like say this one, we put what happened. We look what happened. Okay, I replace. Okay, x is all is 0, and then we replace this generate data start from the 2, observation number 2 until 500. Okay, you can see that. Okay, this is the value we generate randomly, right? Randomly for the x, Okay, now we using, or we continue. Remind again. We using this process again, and doing this process again for the y. For the y, generate for the y. Okay, we have to generate for the y, and then replace with the same equation, random walk, for the y, start from the 2, observation until 500, and then we can get this number, this value. Okay, so now we have generate 2 series randomly for the x and y by the random walk model. Okay, let's say we look by the graph, about these 2 series. Okay, ts line yx, and then we can get something like this. Okay, now we have 2 random walk model for the y and the x, and please remind that this y and x is independently, right? Independently, there is no correlation between the x and y. No correlation between the x and y. Okay, and then of course when we suspect that when we regress this 2 time series, of course we suspect that the t-statistic is not significant and R square is very low, because these 2 variable is independently. Now we generate independently. There is no correlation between the y and x. Okay. Okay, let's say before we regress this model by OLS, y and x, regress to y and x. Let's say we test the unit root between these 2 variable. Which is this variable. Okay, let's say we will use the Dickey-Fuller test for the x, and then we look what's the result. The result show that the t-statistic, is negative 0.17, and let's say we choose 5% significant, 5% critical value, we can see that the value is negative 2. So means that the critical value is much smaller compared to the t statistic. It means that we are failed to reject HO. And then remember that the HO is theta is equal to 0 and the HA theta is less than 0. The HO is referred to the non-stationary, HA referred to the stationary. So in this case, it's very clear so that the value of the negative 0.57 is belong into the HO region. Belong to the HO region means that we are failed to reject HO, means that there is the data is non-stationary. The data of the X is non-stationary. Okay, this is data for in the label form for the X. Okay, how about the Y? How about the Y? Okay, let's say now we doing the unit test for the Y, and then we get this result, and the result is also same as the X. We can see that the t statistic is negative 0.372, and the critical value is negative 2.870. So means that the value of critical is much okay, not smaller. If we look this what you call it side, okay, this is the HO, this is the HA, and then the value is negative 2.870, and then of course the value of because this is a positive value is belong into the HO region. Okay, so means that we are also fail to reject HO. So for the Y, for the X, we fail to reject HO, and also for the X, for the Y, we can see that we also fail to reject HO. So means that these two data, X and Y, is non-stationary at the label and the label form. And label form. Okay, now because these two data, the X and the Y, is non-stationary at the label form, so to make the data is stationary, we need to different the data. We need to different data. Okay, let's say we different the data and we test the unit root by the ADF. So what happened? Okay, now we perform the test, ADF test at the for the X at first different, and this is the result. Now this is for the first different, X for the first different. Look this, X the first different. This is the first different with different data, and we can see that t statistic is much smaller. T statistic is much smaller compared to the F% critical, and negative 2.870. So means that we reject HO. We success to we can reject HO. So means that in this case the data of the X is stationary at the first different. So at the level non-stationary at the first different stationary. So the XT is integrate at I1 for the XT. For the XT. Okay, now we look what happened for the Y. When we differentiate, when we different the Y and perform the unit root test. Okay, for the time series of the Y in the first different, when then we perform the unit root test, we can see that the t statistic now for the Y, the value is negative 16, and then of course it's much smaller. Right? Much smaller compared to the 5% critical value. So means that we can reject HO. We success to reject HO, means that our data now for the X for the Y is stationary at the first different. This one, the first different. So the YT is integrate at the Y1. Okay, so means in this case we cannot using the Y and the XT and Y at the level form, because if you using the XT and YT at the level form, it will leads the superior segregation. We need to using the YT and XT at the first different. Okay, let's say in this let's say what happened if we regress this YT and XT at the level form, in the level form. Because we need to remember that we need to remember that the YT and XT is we generate independently, and also when we perform the unit root test, it show that the data of the YT and XT is non-stationary in the level form, but it's stationary at the first difference. Okay, let's say we don't know the level, we don't know the result, or don't know what's the stationary, the stationary for the XT and YT. We just regress the data. We regress the YT and XT at the level form. So what happened? Okay, let's say we regress YT, Y to the X, and we regress Y to the X, and this is the result. Okay, we can see that based on this result is quite interesting. It's quite interesting because the value, when we look at this statistic, the value of this statistic is very quite large, 64, right? Quite large. So in this case, we means that the X is very, very highly significant effect to Y. Highly significant effect to Y. And also, we can see that the R square also quite high, 0.8924. It should not be happen. It should not be happen because why? Because the Y and X we generate randomly. Y and X we generate randomly, and also Y and X is independently. There is no relation and no relationship between the Y and X. So of course there is no way the X can significant effect to the Y. This is the this is what we call it as the spurious. Means that the two variable, we assume it randomly, no relationship, but when we regress the result so that the X and the Y is significant and the value of R square is quite high. And then let's say we look the value of the Durbin-Wasson. The value of Durbin-Wasson is 0.05, is quite high. 0. Quite very, very low. Very, very low. The value of the Durbin-Wasson is very, very low, 0.05. 0.05. So this means that this regression is suffer from the autocorrelation problem. Suffer from the autocorrelation problem. So Granger and Newbold say that when we compare to the R square, the value of the R square, and also and compared to the Durbin-Wasson, it said that when the R square is larger, the value of R square is larger compared to Durbin-Wasson, so maybe our regression, this regression leads to the spurious regression. Maybe the result is spurious. This result of the coefficient and also quantity and so on is spurious. This is the rule of the thumb given by the Newbold and Granger. Granger and Newbold say that when R square is larger than the Durbin-Wasson, in this case, the R square is 0.8924. Is larger compared to the 0.05. Okay, if this happen, if you using the time series, and you regress, and then we say that the value R square is very large, the R square is very large compared to the Durbin-Wasson, maybe this regression is spurious. Maybe it's suppressed. So this is why we need to very carefully when we using the time series, time series data, because we afraid that the result will leads the spurious regression. Spurious regression. Okay, you can this one you can. So this is a nutshell of the phenomenon of the spurious or nonsense regression first discovered by the Yule. You saw that spurious correlation could persist in the non-stationary time series even in the sample is large. So means that even we expand our sample very large, maybe your sample is 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, this phenomena could be happen. The superior regression is exist when your data is non-stationary. Even you large your sample. Even our sample become very large, you expand your sample very large, but the series is non-stationary. Of course, when you regress, it will lead to the superior regression. So according to the Granger and Bowl, the R square is larger than D is the good of the root of the time to suspect that the estimate regression is superior. Okay.